Adam, you know what you won't be doing next summer?
Announcing at either D2 or D1 Nationals.
It's showtime. This is The Ski Show, the ultimate show ski podcast, and your one and only source for all things show skiing, bringing you news, knowledge, and interviews with the legends and stars of our sport. Here are your hosts, Matt Heilman and Adam Schaller.
Welcome to The Ski Show, still the only media on the planet dedicated to the sport of show skiing. Last episode, we had a great one with Dan Laughlin and Gabby Tashwer. If you haven't picked up that episode, please give that a listen. Two awesome role models in our sport that had fantastic seasons. It's well worth the listen. Today, we're going to dive deep into some cool conversations, I think. We're going to do a couple of episodes this fall with some that are more topical. We're going to just shoot the shit and talk about topics. And today, we're going to talk more, like we have quite a bit on the podcast in the past, about D2, D1 Nationals, individual events, entry process, ideas. We're just going to spitball. We don't have a script of questions for a guest. We're going to just talk off the cuff about some topics that we've got bullet pointed here in our notes. So looking forward to that. We got two guests today. David Rezin joining us. Hey, Dave.
Hey, how we doing, guys?
Doing great.
At this point, he's not really a guest anymore.
No, I mean, he's a third host, third wheel.
I don't get paid. I don't get paid either. So we need to start talking, start negotiating.
Well, neither do Brad or Adam. So.
All right. Good point.
And we also have Brad Satterlee, our producer, is going to be on the episode today. Hey, Brad, what's going on?
How's it going? Going good here down in Florida, staying warm.
Good.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff.
All right, today's sponsors are the Board Shop, all your summer and winter. Here it comes. Board Sport Gear is yours at bswake.com. The Paul Stokes Agency at American Family Insurance. Let Paul be your insurance agent. And as always, FlymanSkis, custom-made jump skis and Featherboard swivel skis at affordable prices. Get yours at FlymanSkis.com.
Here we are, fall season. Brad, are you guys still performing shows? Well, how long do the ski season go in the South? We're all wrapped up here. I don't know about RAJ. We're doing some practices like once or twice a week as weather and wind permits, Dave. We got some hungry skiers still getting after it. But how about you, Brad? Are you guys still rolling?
Yeah, so the skieries are actually getting ready to start back up. So we kind of take off this summer.
It's too hot, isn't it? You guys don't do summer because it's so damn hot. Is that how that works?
Especially for shows, to get a crowd to sit in 90-degree weather that feels like 100 and 110, it's near to impossible. People still ask, but the crowd would just be so small. And we kind of have off season are from the north, and so everyone kind of does need a little bit of a break to enjoy their summer. So we kind of take off. I know Cypress Gardens is still every third weekend. Tampa has got some road shows. I think Lakeland's getting ready to start back up, and as Sarasota gets going, I think the last weekend in September through October and the first weekend in November. So about 6 weeks of shows, a little fall season we do.
Okay.
Man, that's so backwards to me.
Yeah.
Isn't it wild? Dave, you guys still skiing a little bit?
Minimal. We pretty much shut things down after Labor Day. Had a great Labor Day Sunday of Labor Day show. Ended it with a bang. But I'll tell you what, I'm seeing Badgerland. I think they have their last show tonight as we speak, which is Tuesday night. Crazy that they're still putting out the performances. I love that.
Yeah, they're still rolling. It's been new to us probably, but we're probably 3 years in now to heavier September practices, and it's really like when I'm show director, and even this year, like Labor Day comes, I'm done. Like I'm moving on to fall. Jack, Abby, and a bunch of hungry young skiers have been wanting to get after it. So a couple of years ago when Jack was show director, he's like, can I run some practices? Yep. And so anytime there's decent weather, nice water, he's scheduling a practice. And They've done that the last few years, so it's been fun, and we got some skiers that are still getting out there, getting after it. So more energy than I have for sure.
Yeah, I had the sound trailer unpacked and put away in the warehouse the Tuesday after Labor Day.
Yep. Some stuff coming up this fall. Rules changes for those of you that want to submit any rule changes or submit new swivel or doubles trick submissions are due by October 1st. There'll be some stuff I'm sure coming out on social media on that, as well as some emails, some information you'll get. But any new rule changes or new tricks due by October 1.
Do you have to submit a video for a new trick? Is that how that works? Or okay.
Yeah, they do.
Okay, you submit the video and a name and...
Yep,
okay.
And they're trying to get, like, people have named, like, stuff after themselves, the creator, or some funny name, and actually it's getting... My understanding is getting a little difficult for the individual acts committee and the charts because people don't know what that trick is. So they want to get into descriptors that describe what the trick is instead of just a funny name.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So, Adam, how's the Badger Band doing?
Badger Band is fantastic. They never lose a game, ever.
Right.
Neither have the Badgers so far. The Badgers are 2-0.
They are. We play Alabama this weekend, though, actually, which this will air after that Alabama loss, I'm sure. Do you get to go to Lambeau when the band goes to Green Bay? Do band parents get tickets?
Band parents have no special privileges whatsoever.
Okay.
If I want to go to Lambeau, I am buying a ticket. I am sitting in the nosebleeds.
You know some people that have tickets, so you'll be there.
I do know some people. Yes.
You know some
it's just
people.
I have to sit through the whole football game, and it's still.
Yep.
Oh boy, it's just gonna be a long. It's gonna be a long football season.
Yep. Good stuff.
It's all good. Love it though. Love it.
Speaking of skiers getting after it, see all these videos of Eli Carson trying front mobs?
Impressive.
Killing it
He's
and
close.
killing himself.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
Is he going to make one soon? Or is he going to make one? He's doing one ski. For those of you who don't know, one ski front mobs, wrapped like Reinhardt, cross the front on one ski. He's been getting around, at least to his butt, to the ski a little bit. Impressive that he's out there getting after it. It looks like he's going to make one.
Yeah, we chatted last Wednesday. The Wednesday prior went better than last Wednesday. He wrecked himself pretty good this past Wednesday, but he's at it, and he's like, I can kill myself one day of the week, essentially. And so he goes up to Cyprus one day of the week, gets together with Gabe and Bryson and Max Carey and those guys, and those guys throw down. And so I don't think it's a matter of if, it's a matter of when, whether that's, in the coming weeks or a year from now or whatnot, but he's starting to get comfortable with the trick.
Man, I mean, he's got nobody to coach him. I mean, right? He's got nobody to tell him that, like, hey, you're doing this wrong because I used to do it back in the day. I mean, there's nobody out there, right?
He's learning on the go, but I do think he's reaching out to guys like Pete or whatnot and getting some tips.
How about guys like Gino or Zane who are down there as well? Any insight from them?
No, I don't know that. I'm sure those guys are obviously always willing to go ahead and lend a hand or bend an ear. So yeah, he knows that he's got a lot of resources if he reaches out.
Awesome.
So I remember from watching ESPN Hot Summer Nights back in the day when Reinhardt was doing those, and the announcers were always talking about how hard that is because you have to clear the rope, right?
Jumping over the rope, yeah.
Yeah, man. Wild.
Need a good pinner.
You do need a good pinner. Yep, that's for sure.
Good luck, buddy.
Yep. I want to plug the fundraiser that the American Saucer Social is doing. ASS.
So you
American
want to plug
Saucer
your ass? Is that what you're
Social.
saying? You want to plug?
I want
plug your ass.
to. I'm not. Well, I'm not plugging the ass exactly. So Kristen
I'm not plugging
Subject
in the ass. No way.
runs the American Saucer Social, which was a fun social group for people to get on the disc and get out there and they have some fun. But on a more serious note, they got a fundraiser fund campaign going for John and Katie Mohr's son. John and Katie Mohr's son, Joseph Mohr, is battling brain cancer. He's 5 years old and has brain cancer. And John and Katie have been longtime show skiers, and this event, you can go to the best way to find out about it is go to the American Saucer Social Facebook page. Through the entire month of September, they've got a little trick trio saucer competition where you can enter, like Cornfest 3-trick line. It's your saucer trio of tricks. You send in a video, and through the whole month of September, there are entry fees and donations that you can make to John Mohr's Venmo. You're supporting the family in their fight for their son's brain cancer. So there's prizes to the standout competitors. All the entry information is online at their Facebook page, and it's running through the entire month of September. So don't put the boat away yet. Get out there and do some saucer tricks and donate some money to the Mohr family.
Has anybody ever inverted a saucer?
Oh, don't say that. Ethan's going to probably try that now.
I'm just throwing it out there.
I bet he would try it.
He'd probably land his second one. Anyway.
It'd have to be a little saucer and a real big wake.
Yeah, it would.
Yep, I'm sure that's doable. All right.
All right.
Is John Mohr's Venmo listed on the Facebook page? How do we get that information?
Yeah, all the information you need, including the whole the instructions and entry information in Venmo is posted on the American Saucer Social Facebook page.
This is one reason why I love the show ski community is different things like this. Show ski community always responds to it because it's one huge family. Man, this little boy is so brave, and his parents are such stellar parents. And boy, it'd be great if we could go ahead and help them out somehow, some way. And doing something fun like this is a no-brainer.
You bet. It's awesome. Thanks to Kristen for organizing and the entire Ask crew at American Saucer Social. Get out there and support it if you can. We've got a great fall season lined up here, Adam, and it's also a great season for the board shop. They've got you covered for all seasons with the gear that you want.
That's right. You want some closeout deals on summer water sports gear? They've got it. You want to get ready to hit the slopes this winter? They've got that too. Board, skis, boots, bindings, jackets, accessories, and so much more.
Yeah, you can visit the board shop in person in Lake Geneva at their retail store, or you can go online and get everything that you need. Go to bswake.com. Use the promo code SHOW15, and you're going to get a discount on your purchase. That's promo code SHOW15 at bswake.com. All right. We're going to plug in a little more fun here before we get into the bulk of our content today. We're going to do a Mount Rushmore game. And in this game, we're each going to draft our top 4 items that we believe belong on Mount Rushmore. It's going to be a snake draft, so we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're going to start with Dave as our special semi-permanent unpaid guest. And today's topic is Mount Rushmore of the best things about fall. Our Mount Rushmore of the best things about fall.
So I have a question
Dave,
first. How do we win?
You got the first pick of the draft.
How do you win this game? How do you win this game?
You don't.
Okay.
It's not a winner or a loser. We're all winners here.
I think that, okay. I just find that odd coming from you that this isn't a competition. But okay, good.
No. You can get a certificate of participation.
Got a lot of those. All right, Dave's first.
Favorite thing about fall, Dave? Mount Rushmore of great things about fall.
Well, let me see. Am I going to picking apples in an apple orchard?
No, we all know what you're going to say, so just freaking say it.
No, it's freaking football.
Football is the first pick of the draft.
There you go. Packer football. Yes, we knew that was coming.
Yes. Exactly. All right, Brad.
So I feel like I'm at a disadvantage being in the South in Florida because I don't really get to experience fall.
Oh,
But
that's too bad. We feel terrible for you that you have no seasons and you have palm trees year round.
but I'm looking forward to the cooler weather.
Cooler weather.
It's
Yeah,
getting
it's
ready
only
to
gonna
start
be
cooling
85.
off. Yeah.
All right, Adam.
Going to drop down to like 80, maybe 70s.
Wow, nice.
As much as I love show skiing, I love my Sunday nights without shows.
Ooh, Sunday nights at home.
Yep.
All right. Sunday nights at home for Adam. All right, I got 2 picks here. All right, well, football's gone. It's a no-brainer. I'm going to say my first pick is going to be kids back in school.
No, that's a great one.
You know, summer, they're at home. Your life is in disarray when they're at home all summer. Kids back in school is my pick. My next pick is old fashions. I run a bar. It is old fashion season, fall and winter, old fashions.
I didn't know there was a season for old fashioned.
Oh, yeah. Oh, big time. Big time. I mean, we drink, most of us in Wisconsin drink them year round, but there is a season. Adam, you're
All
up.
right. Well, I guess mine is kind of a combination of the last couple. You know, Matt, you said kids back in school. Dave, you said football. I enjoy the activities that come with the kids being back at school, right? Yeah, you know, Annika's in the marching band at high school, and Colby's in the marching band for the Badgers.
Yeah,
and
watching kids' activities. Yep.
Annika's in the musical this year. So I mean, just that I enjoy that kind of stuff.
Yeah, what a great sappy answer. This is awesome. Brad?
All right. One of my favorite holidays, Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Thanksgiving is a winning fall answer. That's a great one.
The
Dave, you got 2
food-
picks here.
I want to touch on that. Just
You
the
guys
food,
are swinging
and the family.
and missing on every pick. Hunting. Red-blooded American, killing things in the fall, hunting. Bird hunting, deer hunting. Can't wait. Let's kill some stuff.
All right, you got another pick here. You get back-to-back picks.
This isn't going to surprise you 3. Yard work. I enjoy yard work.
What is wrong with you?
Mowing lawn, picking up leaves. I like getting out there, getting the hands dirty.
Yard work.
Satisfied with going ahead and having a nice spotless yard for 30 minutes before the leaves come in. Yard work.
Okay.
I am literally considering paving my yard so I don't have to do that.
My yard.
Putting down turf. I mean,
You know who doesn't have leaves to fall? Brad in Florida, and he doesn't have seasons.
he's got spiders and snakes and alligators. No leaves,
All right,
though.
Brad is up with his 3rd pick.
Yeah, I know we touched on football, and it's the heart of the fall, but I am still a diehard baseball fan. So the MLB playoffs.
Go Brewers. MLB playoffs. Milwaukee Brewers are looking good.
Strong.
Let's keep it going. All right, Adam.
My birthday is in the fall.
Your birthday.
And apparently there's already been plans made for my birthday next year because Dave and I share
Sounded like that.
a similar birthday, and we're both turning 50. And
Dave was
sounds
at
like-
Honey Barrel, and there was chat about that last Friday night about your 50th.
Yeah. Apparently we're
Focus of the conversation mostly was around how you're older than me. But
Oh,
that's
yeah,
besides.
that's fair. Yeah. So
All right,
Brad,
Adam's
we'll keep you apprised because we might be, maybe headed kind of in your direction.
He'll
not
meet.
all.
He'll meet in Nashville anytime. He's
Yeah.
going there soon, aren't you? Brad, aren't you going to Nashville?
Oh yeah, this weekend.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
so
this
there we
weekend.
go.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll meet you guys in Nashville. Let's go.
All right.
He'll meet
Find us a
anytime.
find us a cool venue.
That's right. All right, I got back-to-back picks, my last 2 picks. I'm going to choose fall golf. Golf in the fall is better than summer. The courses are less busy. It is not as hot. Fall golf is awesome. I really enjoy fall golf. I'm also going to take the fall colors changing. It is spectacular. It is one of the best things about living in Wisconsin in the fall is the changing of the leaves and the colors that you get from mid-September to November 1st. It's spectacular and beautiful. Changing of the colors. I am done. Adam, you're up.
I'm just looking at this list as it's being typed.
Adam is muted. That's awkward.
Nope, I can hear.
No?
I'm not muted. It's you. It's Matt. Matt. Everybody else can hear me. I'm just saying, I'm looking at this list that we typed up, and man, we're just old people. So Matt, you enjoy fall golf. You can't hear me, but I enjoy stand-up paddleboarding in the fall. There's usually nobody on the water, and you can see the changing of the colors from the lake. It's amazing.
Okay, that's a good one. Brad, how about you?
Yeah, I'm going to go with, I can't believe it's still here. This is going to be the popular vote for getting a pumpkin spice latte. I hate coffee,
There it is.
but
There it
I know
is.
this is going to get some love from everyone.
Yes.
Pumpkin spice lattes.
And the good thing about that is it actually starts halfway through August. So you get a little extra dose of that.
Yeah, right? About the same time that Menards puts out their Halloween decorations. August. Dave, you get the last one.
I am going to say, in comparison to summer, a full 8 hours of sleep at night.
Right?
From Memorial Day to Labor Day, it's ultimately 4 or 5 hours of sleep. So to actually get 8 hours of sleep, it's nice.
Well, that was a fun Mount Rushmore. I love Adam. Has everything having to do with being at home. Literally. So I want Sunday nights at home with my birthday, celebrating my kids' events, and paddleboarding.
My kids' events and paddleboarding are not at home. So
Not
F off.
exactly. Okay. All good. That was fun. Good stuff. All right. Well, before we get to our main content today, we need to dive in and talk about FlymanSkis, Adam.
Yeah, FlymanSkis makes custom-made jump skis and featherboard swivel skis at affordable prices. Whether you're a beginner in swivel or jump, or you're an expert looking to take your game to the next level, Flyman's for you.
Yeah, they've been outfitting some of the best in the game for a long time. Their skis are made for skiers, by skiers, and they're high-performing and oh so beautiful. Flyman will be sponsoring the final Buck Up Tour stop on October 11th at Jack Travers, and that's certain to be a great event. Get your jump skis or your featherboard swivel skis at FlymanSkis.com. That's FlymanSkis.com. All right, well, time to dive into the real stuff now. As we talked about at the outset, we want this. This is going to be us guys shooting the shit like we would if we're standing around together after a tournament or in the beer tent, bantering about ideas, as we love to do. But today we're focusing the conversation as much as we can to, again, this age-old question of D2, D1 nationals, what it looks like, what it should look like, ideas, and we really want to just chat about it and hear what we all have to say and throw out some ideas, see if anything sticks. I want to start with the concept, and it came up in one of the social media posts. The idea. So again, we're going to talk about D2 nationals. Let's just set the stage a little bit. Has ebbed and flowed with participation. When it's been in northern Wisconsin, there's a lot of teams. Anywhere outside of northern Wisconsin, it's 3-4 teams. And that's kind of where we're at. High interest in individuals, low interest in the team event outside of northern Wisconsin. And so we'll talk about some idiosyncrasies with that, I think, throughout this conversation. But the idea came up of what if there were defined criteria for divisions. And we've talked about this in the past a little bit, and Dave, you and I always kind of talk about this, but like Division 2 doesn't mean the same thing in all places. And So we have, first of all, at a real basic level, we have a semantics issue because, like in Wisconsin, for instance, which has the most teams, a Division I team at regionals can go to Division II nationals. And so right there causes some confusion with semantics. What does Division II really mean? And Division II at nationals means something different than Division II at regionals. Do we need to clear that up? And would defined criteria for divisions do that?
Is there no defined criteria at this point?
Nothing.
Really?
Literally nothing.
It's not like size of skiing members? There's
No.
nothing?
No.
Huh. I thought there was. No.
And to clarify for those who aren't aware, and as Matt pointed out, but it's good to regurge, is that a Division I team could, at this time, current state, participate in Division II nationals. So, Matt, your question was, is it obscure? Do we have problems with just there being miscommunication or a lack of awareness? Yes. And part of it is just simply around the nomenclature of Division I versus Division II. There's two ways that you can address that. You can either change the nomenclature, or you can go ahead and you can try to structure Division I and Division II and Division III and so on within each region, or at least at the national level, right?
And Wisconsin has multiple divisions because there's so many teams. So it's got 3 divisions. But what nationals has really been is Division I is the top 14 teams, and then Division II is the next group of teams. But what that means for a region like Wisconsin is if 5 teams or 6 teams get into Division I nationals, the 7th team is still a Division I Wisconsin team. They can go to D2 nationals as it stands now. And so there's confusion on that. There's some, I think, probably, I don't know what the word is. I think teams from other regions feel like they're competing against D1 teams. If a D1 regional Wisconsin team goes to D2 nationals. But the reality is if Wisconsin was all one division, then we wouldn't have that semantics problem. I don't know.
Just let me jump in that, Dave, you need to remember this is a podcast for show skiers, so using words like nomenclature can be confusing to people. It's the devising or choosing of names for things, especially in a science or other discipline. Nomenclature. Okay.
Thank you.
So if we were to define criteria for divisions, how do you do that? Like, is it number of skiers? Is it number of boats? Is it horsepower? Is it all of those things?
Yes. Potentially.
Okay.
I think you would start on a real basic level with number of skiers.
Yeah.
Like if you just define that D2 Nationals is under 40 skiers, then you at least have some definition. And I'm just throwing out a number, but you have a clear definition that if you want to compete at Division II Nationals, you have to have less than 40 skiers.
Yeah, in all likelihood, then most likely you're addressing probably some of the resources too, like engines or number of boats or whatever the case may be. So skiers and the volume of skiers is probably the easiest to start with. I would agree.
But the question I have as I think about this, like, it sounds like a fun idea. It really makes sense to maybe have defined criteria for divisions. Like Division I is open, unlimited skiers, unlimited boats, unlimited horsepower. Division II has limits if you want to compete at Division II. But is that the goal through this conversation is how do we get more teams to compete at nationals in D2 and D1? D1 hasn't been full the last 2 years. D2 has been woefully short when it's been outside of northern Wisconsin. So if the goal in change is to increase team participation are more teams going to compete at D2 knowing there's a defined division that fits them?
Well, we've talked about it in the past. It's multi-layered, right? It's one component is ensuring that like teams are competing against one another. Another component is finances. Another component is logistics. Another component is travel, right? Another component is when the tournament is hosted. So this is just one of those components.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think honestly, like the more I thought about it this August as this all went down again and up till now, like I think individual team culture
Mm-hmm.
is the number one factor. If it's in your culture that we're going to compete at nationals every year, you're going to compete at nationals. Like if it's not, and there's you haven't built that into your culture, or there's excuses for why not to go, then you're not going to go regularly or very often, and it's just not in your team's culture to compete at nationals. How do we get that more ingrained in team's culture that nationals is a thing you do no matter what? We want 28 teams at nationals, 14 at D1, 14 at D2. Like there's enough teams to go around. How do we change the culture around that?
And I'm wondering, do you change the name of D2 to limited or D1 limited or change it up? Because sometimes people see D2 and don't necessarily want to compete at a lower division. But if it's a changed name of something different, is that more enticing, or is that something that people are more have an appetite for?
Yeah.
I go back to, and I feel like we're probably flopping all over the place, but that's what this discussion is, right? And disclaimer: these are just ideas. This isn't anything that is being promoted or whatnot. And obviously, people are going to have their own opinions after hearing this. And the more discussion it generates, awesome. So the more stuff that gets put on the forum, great. But I think it needs to turn into more of an event. It needs to turn into more of an experience. It can't be a sole competition. We've moved past that. The competition is at its core when it comes to nationals, right? Whether it's at the D1 level, I think it's evidenced at the D2 level that it's maybe not necessarily about the competition based off the number of teams that are choosing to enter. But I think if ultimately we take it from 2 weekends down to 1 weekend, if we go from 2 destinations down to 1 destination, if we give a reason for teams and individuals to travel to see other larger teams, or for that matter, smaller teams, and we make it more of an experience, we're likely to get greater attendance and participation. That's my theory.
Yeah, so we've talked about this for the last probably 4 years now. So let's dive in there. What does it look like if nationals is 1 weekend? And then I do want to, when we're done fleshing this out, I do want to talk more specifically about individuals, because I have some thoughts on that as well. But what if, and Dave, you've articulated this a lot. You and I have bantered about it. We've talked about it on this show. One weekend, one event, Thursday individuals, Friday, Saturday, Sunday shows. You have D2 shows, you have D1 shows. Maybe there's, let's call it 20 teams that attend one weekend event. Doesn't have to be 28. It doesn't even have to be 14 in D1. D1 could be 12, could be 10, and D2 could be 10. Like, whatever that looks like. But we have a massive individual events comp on Thursday, and then we have team events on team shows on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 7 a day.
How did we arrive at 14? Like, how was that determined? Like, 14 is the number of teams that can go to nationals. Where did that come from?
I don't know the genesis of it. Somebody like Jerry Lighting would. I'm sure it was a number that's comfortable to get done in a weekend.
Yeah. So
obviously you could fit more, but It would also had to do with, at one point, the regional round robin and how many regional entries there are. But yeah, so 14 is essentially an arbitrary number.
Yeah, maybe that gets cut down. Then, maybe
Sure.
it's
And it
12,
can be, but what if,
12
so
teams,
let's
10
flesh out
teams.
the idea, pros and cons of nationals being one weekend. Like Dave says, it's a spectacle, it's an event. I believe there's value as well on that end, if we're staying with the positives, in the collective group being together. Like we talk about how great state is because it's this giant tournament in multiple divisions. What if nationals was big teams and small teams all together, and it's Division II teams being at D1 watching and learning, and it's D1 teams watching D2 shows, and it's individual events that include all of the best athletes, and it's one awesome weekend of 2 divisions of competition.
Well, we know it can be done. It's done every year. Wisconsin State, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I think my biggest question comes in mostly, as you pointed out, Matt, in no particular order and to be determined. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday will be team competition somehow, some way. Thursday would be individual competition. And my question is, ideally, you are having D2 individuals and D1 individuals. So, I mean, if we're going to address this, let's address the whole thing, right? Let's not have D2 individuals be on some subsequent weekend. Let's try to make it happen all at one time, because you have a shit ton of D2 competitors that will be competing, which just adds to that spectacle. So the question is, can we get D2 individuals and D1 individuals done on one day, or does it turn into an even bigger event, which is probably a scary proposition for some if we're looking at Wednesday as well?
So I fair, if we looked at Wednesday, I wonder, so there's 2 things. On the individual side, I wonder if this doesn't just become one individual competition, not 2 divisions. There's individuals, but then there's divisions by teams, maybe based on criteria that we just talked about. D1 is open division, D2 is defined by some number of competitors, and individuals is one event of the top performing individuals across all regionals. And we can decide what events those are. Like if we want to get into the conversation of whether 360 swivel pairs should be a thing and intermediate doubles should be a thing and 180 swivel should be a thing at a national tournament. But whatever that looks like, we define it's one individual competition. We're crowning an individual national champion in each event. And the team event is divided into 2 divisions based on some defined criteria. Alternatively, if we still kept it to 2 divisions, right now, teams and individuals don't have to compete in the same national tournament, if that makes sense. So an individual who took 6th in freestyle jump can go to D2 nationals and compete in freestyle jump, even if his team competed in D1 nationals. So if it's on one weekend, do we define that you are competing in the division your team is competing in?
I'm not for that. And because
I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not necessarily either.
Yeah. You're just throwing out the suggestion. The reason that everybody's still staying with us, the reason that I'm not for that is we've got individual skiers that would then be potentially in what would be considered a lower division based on what we call it, that might be better than skiers that are in a higher division, or vice versa.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I like seeing the best competing when it comes to the best competing against the best when it comes to the individual competition.
Yep. I do too.
I think it should stay as one division for individuals. Don't separate it, because there's skiers that are at a high level on maybe a Division II team, yet I feel like they should still compete against those of the same liking.
Correct. It would be like the Catfish Bay jump team. It would be like multiple examples of really amazing talent on smaller Division II teams. And so then we circle back to the idea: is individuals on one weekend going to be one event, one division, one individual comp, or is it still the way we currently have it? Your top competitors get into D1 individuals, and your next tier of competitors get into D2 individuals, and we still have two divisions of events.
I mean, without the two divisions of events, you start to limit the participation at a national level. Is that kind of what I'm hearing? Which I don't think we want to do, but is it feasible to have nationals be like Tuesday through Sunday, because we have so many individuals to get through if we want to accommodate kind of two divisions worth of individuals and lots of individual events, right? If we're talking 180 and 360 and pairs and all of that.
It's not in our culture, but there are other disciplines in our sport that have week-long national events.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
If nothing changed based off of the events that are currently offered at both D2 and D1, and the participation was relatively unchanged as well, you're going to be hard to get that individual event in one day, in Thursday. Yeah. Now, there is, do you need to go ahead and have, as you pointed out, Matt, do you need to have a, swivel 180 national champion, a swivel 360 national champion, a swivel 360 pairs national champion, or are those events best suited for regionals? And regionals host them. There's a champion crowd per regional, but they're not necessarily a national event, because nationals is truly open. And so maybe there is a second tier of open in each of the major events that others could qualify for based off their placement at regionals. You following me there?
Yeah, I agree. We got to be careful, because we've seen growth in individual event participation of squashing that, of not having, so that carrot for swivel 180 and 360 maybe has grown participation. At the same time, there are some events that just have not had very much participation at all in the last 3 to 5 years, and that's intermediate jump at D2 Nationals, intermediate doubles at D2 Nationals. The participation, those has been very sparse. So those would be, if I were to start the conversation, those would be the first events to go, the ones that have had low participation over the last 3 to 5 years, and we have that data.
So by default, just with those two examples, you would just have an open.
Yeah,
right?
Just open doubles.
Open doubles at the D2
level. Open swivel pairs. Probably not do 360 swivel pairs, and not do intermediate jump, and not do intermediate doubles. Those would be ones that, off the top of my head, like as I think about what the participation has been, those have been low.
It's good discussion, right? Yeah. And so the main point is that we're going back to that spectacle, that event, that experience that would be anywhere from 4 to 5 days long. That includes both individuals and a team component.
Yeah.
And again, getting that camaraderie, that collaboration with all teams of all sizes together.
I like it because I believe in doing something different, and we've got more layers to this. But one of the cons that came up via social media was that D2 teams in that format might be the ones relegated to skiing on Friday. And whether that affects their ability to participate or not, having to, maybe travel down Thursday night or be the shows on the water on Friday, more people taking off of work, traveling long distance during weekdays. That came up, was voiced as a concern about a single weekend because right now D2 shows are on the weekend. So that's a potential con.
So I'll,
Could you
I'll respond to
rotate?
that and probably have some feedback via the forum or whatnot. But I would challenge everybody to think, and this is the reality to me of the situation. In what sport isn't the highest level usually the end event, right? I mean, honestly, objectively, ask yourself that, right? We also know, and our best litmus test is Wisconsin State, right? And so we know at Wisconsin State, Division III and Division II teams do ski. I can't say that those Division III and II teams wouldn't rather ski on Saturday or Sunday as opposed to a Friday, because certainly additional accommodation. But to your point, it's part of the culture. That's what's embedded. That's the norm. So people just kind of roll with that at that point in time. So.
Yeah. I want to dive into more talking points here. Before we do that, Adam, we need to sing the praises of Paul Stokes and American Family Insurance.
Yeah, Paul's a fantastic barefooter and an insurance agent. He prides himself on amazing customer service, and he's backed by one of the best brands in the industry in American Family Insurance.
Yeah, Paul's tagline is "Get stoked and stay stoked." Well, his "Get stoked" is his easy quoting process. Reach out to Paul, get a quote, get $30 back to your team just for a quote, and you just might find that his prices and service are better than what you currently have. So get stoked and stay stoked with Paul Stokes and American Family Insurance. All right, well, let's continue to kind of flesh this out, because other components of a one weekend or a longer individuals, like I've talked about this, Dave, and we've talked with JT, we've talked with others at State. Like, even at Wisconsin State, I believe there's room for more individual competitors. We've capped it at 72 plus some late entries, what has amounted to maybe 75 to 80. There's room for over 100 in a day. We've been getting done. We've gotten better at being able to roll through it quicker. The timer is important. But the one negative that's come up in cramming in 100 competitors in a day is the officials. They need breaks. We only have so many officials. And is it time, if we move to a new format, or at least discuss it, to also discuss ways to balance individual event officials? Specialty judges have been talked about on and off for the last several years, or flip-flopping judges between divisions in some sort, so we can roll through without break. The audience gets no break. The officials get a break, and we build that in. But the event rolls without break, and we can get well over 100 competitors in a day.
Man, we are peeling back the onion on this. There's a lot of layers to this. If you want to have this big event, now you're talking about specialty judges. Holy smokes. But yeah, I mean, that seems to make a lot of sense, rather than, having, the same judges and taking breaks, and just it becomes a very, very, very long weekend for officials. So we need.
I mean, if there's 3 30-minute breaks throughout the day, or 4, we're talking about an hour and a half to 2 hours of wasted water time, and that at 8 to 10 competitors an hour, we're at 30 or 40 competitors, less than we could be doing if we figured out a pathway to plug officials in the tower and not have it be the same officials event after event.
Yeah, I mean, I think Wisconsin State does it right, having this kind of separating the judges by each division, and then also the individuals. And now that's going to even get more granular, and I think it's a great idea to keep things moving, is to have those specialty judges. So have the civil specialty, the doubles, the jump, and then you can be able to rotate through those, and then be able to keep the event moving and get more competitors on the water, and get it knocked out in a timely fashion.
Yeah, let's look at the pros and cons, right, in terms of specialty judges. Number one, I think regardless of a change in format, it's on an island by itself to discuss, in regards to a change of format with D1, D2. I think, and I don't want to speak on behalf of the judges. That's not my role, and I don't have enough perspective. You'd have to talk to Jeff Hinkie or otherwise. But anecdotally, when I'm speaking with some judges, some enjoy going ahead and doing individuals. Some feel like they have to do individuals based on the pool of judges and the participation. And then you add to that already having to do 2 or 3 days of team competition, multiply that by multiple weekends, and it's starting to be a big ask of the judges. So we need to get them additional support. What I'm hearing from the skiers and from the community is, hey, it'd be great to have people judging that actually performed or were, in that space before, whether that be freestyle, swivel, or whatnot. And so I
specialized,
think that when it comes from the skiers, we're hearing this. When it comes from the judges, they're saying, hey, we're at our tipping point in terms of what we can provide and what we can do. And now we're looking at potentially we're talking about, bantering about expanding a national tournament. All three of those worlds are starting to collide, and that discussion needs to take place.
And one of the elements that came up this summer that would certainly come up again if we go down this road of specialty judges is the conflict of interest rules.
COI, yep.
And are we at a point where it's, and I think I am, like I used to be adamant against conflict of interest. I'm more inclined to allow it at the individual level, certainly not at the team level. I'm not a fan of any conflict of interest at the team level whatsoever in our judging. But for individuals, if we want to capitalize on our current momentum with individual competition, our interest, our growth, we've been turning people away at regionals and nationals that have wanted to compete because we just don't have that. Wisconsin State and at nationals, we don't have room for everybody that's interested in competing. If we want to grow it and continue to capitalize on that interest, it may be time at the individual level to allow for conflict of interest in the ability to allow for more competitors to compete and grow that aspect of our sport. And I think I'm probably there on allowing that, especially specialty judges that know their craft in a particular discipline.
Where's the conflict? Describe what you mean by conflict of interest at the individual.
So Jerry and Kathy Lighting judging doubles, and there's 3 Rock Aqua Jays in the doubles lineup.
Okay.
That is known as conflict of interest.
What is the current what is the current parameters around COI? I think that would be that would raise the awareness for the listeners. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, so like conflict, you have to have been away from a team for 2 years. Is I believe what it's listed out in the rule book. You can't have been part of a team or organization for 2 years. So if you're currently a part, if you've got a family member a part of a team, so like Ellen Sox couldn't judge a swivel competition with her granddaughter Kayla in it. And so there's things like that. And Ellen is one of the best officials in our sport, but because of conflict of interest rules, she's unable to judge certain events. And so in that case, as I gave the example of Jerry and Kathy, that's just one obvious example that our listeners could grab onto. If they were to be specialty judges for strap doubles and there were Rock Aqua Jays in the competition or Aragorn Lighting was competing in doubles, that would be conflict.
Well, that's not going to happen.
Right.
It's just a hypothetical.
I know.
But so that would be considered conflict of interest. And so are we better off having Jerry and Kathy with their knowledge and expertise in doubles judging that event, even though there's conflict of interest, and allowing them to judge an event to allow us to get more competitors on the water because all we're doing is moving a judge out of a seat and then we keep rolling to the next event? Are we ready for that?
Yeah, I'd like to start with the idea of conflict of interest and putting parameters around conflict of interest. It's good. That's where we are. That's
Yep.
the issue is the amount of judges that we currently have,
Correct.
right? And that's why we're saying, okay, it's not that anybody disagrees that not having conflict of interest intertwined within the competition is a bad thing. It's we are at a turning point at this point in time. So I'm for it as well. I think a couple things. I think that when it comes to those individuals that would have a COI, I know I put myself in that position. If I'm judging a Eli or a Bryson or a Brandon Schleicher or Aragorn or whatever, I'm going to feel like all eyes are on me when I'm going ahead and I'm offering that score. Now that doesn't mean that there couldn't be some biasness or whatnot, but I feel like there's almost a magnifying glass in that case. The other thing I want to point out is there's parameters, and Jeff Henke would speak to this. Anytime that there is scoring that's outside of what would be the norm or considered acceptable, there's opportunity to give feedback. There is sometimes consequences to that as well. And so there's opportunity to police that at an officials level, and they currently have those parameters in place.
Mm-hmm. So as we talk, the four of us, where do you all sit currently on? Are you in favor of us giving it a whirl and having nationals all one weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday? And how do you feel about using specialty judges in an effort to allow for more competitors in a day and not needing breaks for judges, because we can set it up in such a way that we can roll through 110, 120 competitors without stopping?
I'm in favor of specialty judges. I mean, the way that I look at it is, you're going to have your top swivelers, your top freestyle jumpers. Eventually, they're going to, and be careful how I use this term, age out per se, right? And you're giving them an opportunity to give back to the sport, because that's who you want to essentially see in the judges' seats, are people that have been at the top of their game in those particular events, and I think that would be awesome. So speaking to specialized judges, yeah, I think that's something that's absolutely be pursued. And then speaking to the one weekend for D2, D1 nationals, why not give it a try? I mean, is it going to be a bigger flop than having just 3 teams show up to D2 nationals, like 3 or 4 teams like happened this last year? Probably not. I mean, it's going to be a whole heck of a lot of work, but it's been done. And so I kind of looked to Dave when I asked this question, because Matt or I have never hosted a tournament, nor will we ever, because there's really only 3 teams that have hosted nationals per se in the recent history. And it's been Janesville, Rockford, or Warsaw. Are they willing to take on a 4-5 day tournament, as we experiment with this? I mean, I imagine it's a lot of work, and could your team support that?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I certainly don't want to speak for Warsaw. I don't want to speak for Rockford or this year for the Waterhawks if they end up continuing that opportunity down at Eagle Lake and in Evansdale. I know the Rock Aqua Jays would be open to that, and I would assume Rockford and Warsaw and the Waterhawks would be open to that as well. But again, don't want to speak to that. Anything that makes the community come together, grows the sport, gives additional opportunity, I think that any team that would be willing to host would be willing to consider, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like we got to try it. I think, as Adam said, we have had a few teams the last couple of years, and unless it's up north, it's low coming to it, and so we got to give it a try. I know that next year's is already picked. I think we're picking the 2027 in November, so this would be an opportunity to potentially see it for that weekend or that year or the year after that. But I feel like if we don't try it, we're just going to keep talking about it.
You're exactly right. I was thinking about this as we were talking about this, Brad. Like, change happens so slowly. Like, there's so many stakeholders here. Like, think about all the stakeholders that we've discussed throughout this: the officials, the hosts, the D2 teams, the individual competitors. A lot of different stakeholders have different opinions on what this will look like. And if everyone voices their opinion and there's no consensus on it, we're not going to go anywhere, and we're going to be stuck with where we're at. And I'm at the point where we can't keep doing the same thing. If we're having this conversation on a podcast since we started it in 2020, we've got a problem. And part of the problem, which we haven't vocalized as well, is the D2 teams largely being unwilling to travel. And is that going to change with a one weekend event? Because other than Silver Lake, who are champions of attending D2 nationals, they've been awesome no matter where it is. They go to Warsaw, they go to Rockford, they go to Backwater, they go to Shawano. They've been to them, and no excuses. They make the travel, the long trek from Michigan. But when the event's in Shawano or Tomahawk, 9, 10, 12 teams show out. When it's in Rockford, 3.5 hours away, nobody goes. And it's almost like the Northern Wisconsin teams are boycotting D2 Nationals. Unless it's in Northern Wisconsin, we're just not going. Not boycotting is a strong word, but
prioritizing distance over
sure.
going ahead and doing what they do, having a home show, fundraising,
right.
whatever it may be.
Yes, and it sure looked odd this year. Rockford's not that far of a trek down the interstate, in my opinion. But unless it's in Northern Wisconsin, these teams aren't going. So if a combined weekend is in Warsaw, or it's in Rockford, or even if it's in Janesville, are these teams going to attend? Is that going to even move the needle on the D2 teams, or are we going to have an event with 12 D1 teams and 4 D2 teams, but it just happens to be on one weekend?
Right.
Again, there's only one way. There's really only one way to find out, and that's to do it. Right? Just do it. See what happens.
And my guess would be that the first year we'd see a bigger turnout because of the excitement around a new event. And if it was great and pulled off in a good manner, that momentum and excitement might continue. If it was a dud, then it would go back to low participation from the D2 teams.
Well, let me ask you this. Now, so typically in the past, D2 has been the weekend before D1, correct?
Yeah.
Would you consider moving D1 up into that D2 spot? Would that attract more people, for example, because like Florida teams, where they start school early, would then it be a possibility for Cyprus to make the trip if it's a weekend earlier? Or maybe that doesn't change, but just a thought. If you're consolidating,
it's a little bit more
weekends.
complex than that, but that's a good starting point, right? Move it up. Southern teams would potentially have a little bit more breathing room to attend. It's a great point. What we need to focus on as well is the Midwest and the Eastern regions that have the tournament the week after what we know as state tournament, and that would give them 1 week ultimately. And they would have to go, almost back-to-back weekends. Correct, Brad?
Yep.
Yeah, they would have less than a week. It'd be a couple days.
Yep.
So what you would have to do then, theoretically, if you still wanted to offer it what would be the first full weekend in August, is you would have to then move everybody tournament up 1 weekend, essentially, to still maintain at least that 2-week buffer for Midwest and East. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I've looked at that calendar. You're exactly right, because especially for the Midwest, whose teams come to nationals regularly, they could be like Little Crow could be in Aberdeen on Sunday competing in Midwest, and Wednesday have to turn around and go to Rockford.
Yes.
From
the
Little
other factor
Crow, like
to
that.
also blend in there is July 4th holiday, which is
correct. So that's what I was going to get at. So the central region is the one that's right after the July 4th holiday. So if they moved up, they'd almost have to move up 2 weekends, and that is a problem for teams in the Midwest that don't get on the water till end of May and early June.
So it's a conundrum at the very least. I just want to hit on a couple things. We've talked about stakeholders, we've talked about change management. That's, to your guys' point, it's worth it. And I like using the term all the time when in work, it's worth it to pilot this. If we're not willing to make the jump of a full-fledged change moving forward in perpetuity, then it's okay to say, hey, we're going to pilot this for a year. Or Matt, if you think that there's potentially more sustainability, we're worried about sustainability, a 2-year period of time without completely going ahead and flipping the script. So I think everybody would be more comfortable with piloting it, regardless of the site, and seeing if it truly comes to fruition and we get that attendance, how that whole event is managed, so on and so forth. And then the last thing is consensus. And let's just set the expectations. There will not be 100% consensus on this.
No.
We know that. There is still going to be the reasons of travel. There's still going to be the reasons of finance. There's still going to be culture. It's ultimately the majority that feel, taking into account not only quote unquote larger teams, middle-sized teams, small, but taking into account everybody's thoughts, opinions, and feedback, but then going with a consensus decision, not 100% consensus, but the majority.
And as an organization, we have to decide if we're going to dive in, we're going to make some compromises, we're going to figure out, like, we're going to, the potential obstacles, we're going to find solutions for. If that's officials, if that's specialty judges, if that's who the host is, we're going to figure it out. Like, let's go, let's stop talking about it. I'm on board with that. Yeah, this is an awesome discussion. Like, there's just so many layers to it, and we could probably talk all day.
Oh, Matt,
Can I jump in?
You're going to get so many emails, Matt. Just so many.
Go ahead, Brad.
I just wanted to jump in and touch on sponsors and vendors. So usually they're probably struggling to get sponsors and vendors to show up to D2 Nationals currently. If it's one weekend, it's going to be more likely to have vendors there, have a full vendor tent, maybe have a second vendor tent. Sponsors going to be more likely, can maybe get more money out of sponsors if it's one event. And I think that's a benefit. And then the other thing was just host sites. There's probably some people are going to say that maybe limited on host sites if it's going to be a combined weekend. I could see that potentially with hotels and parking and different other things could be an issue at some sites. But there's quite a few sites that we do have that I feel can handle it.
I agree. I think that's, I think there's a lot of positives to going that route. And it'd be interesting to see if we can spark the conversation to give it a whirl, to try it. I'd be curious to hear what our listeners think. Again, there's threads on the forum. If people want to chime in on this post on our social media with this episode, love to hear your thoughts after listening to this discussion, because we're literally just bantering about thoughts and talking about ideas that we've talked about for a few years. But again, we don't have all the solutions. We just have ideas, and then it's going to take a group of people to implement it and say, go, and let's get after it. Let's come up with a plan. Let's, figure out a format, and let's go. And it's going to take a little bit of courage to do that, but I think it's time. I think we've got to stop waiting. So it's been a long episode. Probably can save some of our other stuff for a future day.
Part 2.
Yeah, I mean, there's other layers. Like, we were going to chat about the team and individual entry process, but we can dive into that another day. So good stuff, gentlemen. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Dave. Awesome conversation. I'm curious to see how people resonate with this and what their thoughts are, if any ideas resonated with our audience.
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to enjoying my pumpkin spice and the colors of the leaves changing.
Yeah, you are.
I'm looking at enjoying shooting anything that I can.
Yep.
You got into it.
That's right.
All right, guys. It was fun. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
Great episode. We're going to, again, every 2 weeks, the podcast committee is rolling this fall as well. Our top 5 nominees are going to come out in a couple of months with our awards, the Ski Show Awards. So that's an exciting time. We got a lot going on. Thank you to our sponsors today. Thank you to the Board Shop. Use the promo code SHOW15 at bswake.com. That's bswake.com. Paul Stokes, American Family Insurance. Get stoked and stay stoked with Paul Stokes. And FlymanSkis. Get your custom-made jump skis and featherboard swivel skis at affordable prices at FlymanSkis.com.
You know, I should have said one of my favorite things about fall is when we announced the Show Ski Awards nominees. I mean, holy smokes, how did I forget that?
That's right.
Anyway, thanks again to all of our listeners and our viewers. This is Matt and Adam, and this is The Ski Show.
Thank you for listening to The Ski Show, the ultimate show ski podcast with Matt and Adam. If you have questions or ideas for the show, find us on social media or message us at theskishowpodcast@gmail.com.